people get, disappointed when they hear that.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander. I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, we have my guest, Kelly. Are you there, Kelly?
Yes. Hello there, everyone.
And we have my other co-host, Barbara. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Now, our guest today is Concetta Bertoldi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did very well, honey. Yes, indeed. Very well.
Great. It's funny. About a few weeks ago, we actually had a medium on, and we were actually debating, gee, do the spirits see us in the shower? And I jumped in and I said, actually, we're going to be having a medium on that answers that very question. You have the answer to that question. Am I right? I mean,
what it is, John, is very simple. First of all, I do want to say my first book, the New York Times best-selling book, Do Dead People Watch You Shower, is the title of the book. And what I tell people when they ask me, well, do they? You have to look at it this way. When we leave the body, we're in energy form. So when we are in that form, we don't look at it the way we would look at a naked body here, because we would be considered a peeping Tom here. But in energy form, right. And here's what you got to think of it as. Most people don't mind if God watches them in the shower. They just don't want their grandmother to watch them, because for some reason they get all involved with the physical end of the human body. But when you're in spiritual form, you shouldn't worry about it. It's not a big deal. They remember the flesh. They remember what it's like to be in the human form, but they don't view it the same way they would when we're in human form. I don't know if that helps.
The way that dogs, I think I sort of said, like dogs, for instance, they don't walk around wearing clothes, but they don't really think of it themselves as being 24/7 naked. I mean, they don't really think about it that way. It's like you understand what I'm saying?
Of course I do understand, honey. And what I would respond to that is we're obsessed with that in terms of what it's like to be on the other side and where do they hang out and do they still, want to have sex? Do they still enjoy a good meal? What you realize is that this side, we are in the human form. And while we're in the human form, we're obsessed with all the things that are going on around us. We have so many things to do, places to go, people to please. When we leave this form and we go back to where we came, it's a completely different existence. And it's very hard for us because we're limited in human form to understand that condition. So what you want to remember is that once we leave here, and this place I call Camp Earth, and when we leave, we pass on to the other side, I call that home, because that's truly home from where we really came from. And this place is hard to be, and that place is easy. It's unconditional love. And from what I understand from them, because I don't have all the answers, I openly admit that, but it is a true paradise. It is truly an amazing place to exist when you choose God. And that allows you to be in an existence of whatever you want it to be. You know what I mean? I have to say, when my father came through to me when he first died, my brother had passed away prior 10 years before him. And when my father passed away, the first thing I asked him is, what do you do there, Dad? He said to me, Harold and I, my brother's name was Harold, he said, Harold and I go for long rides in the mountains. Well, I was tickled to hear that because I knew how much my father used to love to do that. But I couldn't imagine it, but yet I do have a pretty good understanding what they mean. They are in energy form, and they can move easily with no restrictions, and through the glory and the magnificent mountains of whatever their choice is. So that's the best way I can explain it. Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
I wanted to bring up this next question because this sort of segues into Barbara a little bit. what got us into to meeting Barbara is Barbara had an experience at a friend's house. You know, and we've had certain mediums given certain interpretations. You know the incident that I'm talking about, right, Barbara?
Yes, I do. We can talk about it.
Why don't you elaborate on it a little bit?
Oh, sure. Okay, so I had a fall down the staircase, a fall down a staircase, very bad, on March 19th, and then I started the show shortly after that because I got a chakra cleanse. And
you started to what, honey? I didn't hear what you said. You started what after that?
Started the show, working on life, laughter, happiness. Right.
Oh, I see. I'm
that.
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
That's
yes.
okay. Because Johnny offered me a chakra cleanse, and so I've been on the show, and that was a big subject. People were trying to figure out what happened and why that happened. So there was a couple psychics that said that I was pushed down the staircase, and I'm finding it that hard to believe. I don't know. I mean, it could have happened. Somebody could have pushed me. I don't remember because I had a really bad concussion. I was very badly beat up and hurt, falling forward and then off the side of the staircase with no railing in Mexico at my friend's house. In the middle of the night, I woke up for some reason and wanted to go to the kitchen. I do not remember even waking up or wanting that. All I remember is being found on the ground, like marble floor. Yes, by him. I woke him up. So,
oh, my God, that sounds so horrible, Barbara. That really does. Terrifying, in fact.
It was so terrifying I couldn't even think about it for 2 days after when I was in the ER and everything, because I would get these panic attacks of like that PTSD. But I'm over all of that. I'm pretty much healed. I have a couple of things showing still marks on my body. But they said that a female stranger spirit was jealous of me. And I know I've had spirits in my life before that I've had to try to control at the old place I lived. And there was 3 of them. And I was very in tune to this. And they could follow me. I felt like they did follow me way out from California to Arizona to the rental home. But did they follow me? Did one follow me out to Mexico on my trip? And do you feel anything about what happened at all?
Wow, honey. Well, first I want to say, you know, to be honest, I'm just being honest with you. I don't know if it was a spirit who pushed you or if there was one indeed who did push you. But I will say this to you. Even as I hear you now, the energy in your voice is very beautiful. I don't know you. I've never met you in person. But just through your energy and your voice, I can tell you're a very lovely person and that you have great integrity and you're very kind. So I know that there's nothing that would hurt you and follow you around unless you were not protected. And the easiest way to protect yourself always is every day to be tuned into God, plugged into God, if you will. And that is simple. You just say, it's easy. In the name of God, protect me. And I pray every day, but it's something that people just go through their lives every day here on earth, you know, sometimes neglecting that, or once in a while they get back to remembering, oh, yes, dear God, thank you for all your blessings. But realize that nothing can hurt you, push you, or anything when you have protection by calling God into your life. And I just want to say, Barbara, I don't think it was a spirit that pushed you. I think you tripped. I think you tripped on something and you fell. I do not believe something pushed you. No, I do not.
Okay.
Okay, I want to be on record as saying that. But I do want you to know, just for the future, so that you always feel safe, and anyone, it's simple. It's so simple. It's just saying, in the name of God, protect me. And no matter what. You see, I work with dead folks all the time. And that's, you know, most of my life, for the past 20 years that I've been public, dead people are always around me, and they always have been even prior to that. But these are dead people that are belonging to other people. So I have to protect myself from that. So what I do is very easy. I simply say, in any kind of fashion I want, in the name of God, here's my prayer, protect me. And only those in the light of God are allowed around me. And only those who choose God are allowed to speak to me. And in the name of God, I command anything evil has to go now in the name of God. It's very simple. And by the way, it doesn't matter what religion you are, because all of us belong to the same light of God. So you don't have to be any specific religion. Just choose God and have faith. And that's what I tell everybody. We didn't come to earth to be perfect. We came to earth to be faithful. And that's what you just want to do, be faithful. But you're okay, honey.
Okay.
I'm happy that you're recovering, too, by the way.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I do believe what you believe now, what you said is true, because I do that. I'm a Christian. I grew up that way. My stepdad always, every morning, reminds me, have you prayed for your protection by the Holy Spirit? And so I'm very aware of that. But it kind of raises a question. How often? So does your prayer last? I mean, one prayer should last your lifetime, really.
And you know what? It does. And you know what it does, Barbara? I have been told that when you want something and you need something, all right, even if it's as simple as finding your car keys, or if you're looking for a blouse you put away last summer, you want a job that you're going at, one time God hears the prayer, but you just say, in the name of God, hear this prayer. But I like to repeat my prayers because it makes me feel good. I feel plugged into God, if you will. You know, so and besides that, it's just your relationship. And listen, we are not here to talk about, you know, holy rollers or being fanatics or anything like that. I'm making it simple because I'm a very simple girl who has tremendous faith in God. But I always remind people, because I don't want to be held on a pedestal, I have a filthy mouth. I swear like a truck driver sometimes. But I have tremendous faith in God, and I know God's not holding that against me. So I want people to hear that from me, so just in case they hear it from somebody else, I'm the first person who admitted it. You know what I'm saying? And it makes me feel good to be plugged in. It makes me feel spiritually beautiful to know that I've called God into my life. So that's why I pray every day.
That's wonderful. And you know what? That's a good reminder to people out there. Thank you for that. And that does. It makes you have a better day, too. You feel like, okay, I'm not alone. And you don't ever feel like there's no hope if you don't feel alone. And we're not alone. We have God. And we're not.
Barbara, I could tell you stories you wouldn't believe. Really, truly, I could. And that's why I write books. And that's why I have a new book coming out next month. It took me 5 years to write it, because I collect many incredible testimonies of folks telling their stories about how they've witnessed God's intervention in their life, or their dead relatives who have. But I have myself so many of those incredible stories too. That's why I tell you, I'm not making this stuff up. I have to die someday, and when I get there, I have to answer for everything I've said or everything I've written about or whatever. And I can tell you that I could put my head down on the pillow, because I'm not telling anything that I don't know to be completely true. Completely true.
That is great, and that is so amazing. Well, okay, so I'm going to get off that subject, but before I do, I just want to tell you that this is like an act of faith in God. I would never take that accident back, because two wonderful things happened from that accident after it happened. A person came back into my life that it's just an amazing experience. And future, and for my future, that would never have happened if they wouldn't have seen that accident happen to me. Then also I got this co-host job with Kelly and Johnny.
Oh, isn't that lovely? See, that's why I said I knew it wasn't negative. I mean, it was a horrible thing that happened, but I thank God you survived, and thank God you're back to your old self. But I really didn't sense that it was some evil entity pushing you. And I can tell you that I really believe there's a domino effect in every single thing that happens. And if you really look back at your life and you think about timing and how timing was amazing in putting you in a certain place for a certain thing to come after that. And then I really also just totally believe that the things that come in our lives and our path, we're not making it up when we say there are lessons attached to it, and we learn and we teach people by the way we handle things. And then it makes us either in a better place, or we have karmically chosen to deny the opportunity that came in front of us. There's so much happening in such a fast pace that you realize it until you get older and look back at it. All of a sudden you ponder all that and what your life held in it.
You do, and that is so great. And also just getting closer and being more in tune and with this spiritual work I've been doing, I feel like life is so much easier. You know why it's easier? It's because all I have to do is choose the good thing, choose the right thing. The answer is, am I doing good for all involved? Is this the best scenario for everyone? Yeah, in my life, all the decisions and everything have been so easy, just living on that path.
Yeah. And you know what, Barbara? Let me just add one thing to that, because I'm sure there are listeners who might think they fall short. What you want to remember is that we weren't supposed to be perfect. We were supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to make mistakes, and then we're supposed to learn from them. And it's a choice we make. This thing we all have been given on earth is free will to make the choices ourselves. So really, I try to remind people always, don't hold on to guilt. Don't hold on to the baggage. Get past it, move forward, make better choices if that's what you feel you have to do. But always remember that you didn't come here to be perfect. Do the best you can and call God into it. And with that guidance, you will do better. You will find answers. You'll find what you're looking for.
That is such a great thing to say. And it takes a lot of pressure off when people feel like they don't have to be perfect and they can just be themselves.
Right, absolutely. Well, it does me because I know better than, because I'm a medium and because I've heard dead people all my life, and I have all of my life, that doesn't mean I haven't gone without making really big mistakes or have made choices that I'm not proud of. And this new book I wrote, I have done that. I've done things and wrote things in this book that people are going to, especially people who follow me or have read my books, they might be a little surprised. But I looked at it this way. At this stage in my life and at this age, I'm going to tell things that people would really need to know because I'm as normal and human as anybody else. I've just been very fortunate to hear these dead people because now that I have lost my father, my mother, and my brother, who I refer to as my God Squad, I know how much people really need to know what I have taken for granted in my young life of always knowing and hearing. And that is we don't die. We don't die. We go someplace else. And it's a miracle where we go from here.
It really helps people when they are able to communicate, even if it's been so many years. It's still this empty spot they feel, this void in them that they miss this person so much. And to be able to communicate with that person, it is so healing and so amazing. And that you do for people. Wow.
It is. That I have to tell you, I am so very grateful, so grateful, because I had no idea when I was a young girl, and I always heard them, what the true treasure of hearing dead people was until I got older. Now, at this stage, I do know, and I am so grateful, and especially because I've lost people I love so much, but I know they're not dead. I know they're not gone. I know they're waiting, and I know they hear me. I know they live in the air we breathe. That's how close they are. AIR, A-I-R, and it stands for always in reach. And they are always in reach. They are always in the air you breathe.
Wow. This is going to be so great for my dad. He lost his brother, his favorite brother, and he's really torn up about it. And I'm going to have him call in sometime. And, he's really sad that he's gone. He can't believe it. But if he knows that, always in reach.
Always, honey. Always. And you can prove it to him. This is how you prove it to him, honey. It's so simple that people don't realize how simple it is. But it's little things like this. I can't tell you. My brother Harold was the first person I had loved and lost. This kid died in 1991. He was only 38 years old. He died of AIDS. And he is one of my best dispatchers on the other side. And so he's on like 24-hour call. I ask him for everything. And I have people who are clients that will say to me, I feel bad. Am I bothering them? And I hate to ask them. I don't want to. I say to them, do you think you're bothering God when you speak to God? Do you think you're bothering by asking? They love your communication. They love helping us. Do you think that when they were alive that they loved you that much and wanted to help you, that stops because they died? No, of course not. So I call my brother for everything. It is crazy. And let me tell you one of my favorite ones. This just happened recently. I was watching a movie, and I love AMC, and I was watching a black and white movie, and the actress that came on, I said, oh, my God, what's her name? And I got so frustrated I couldn't remember her name. So I don't know about you, but I always worry if I can't remember something. Ever since you turn 60, I'm, past 60, so I worry. So I'm looking at the actress, and I said, I just gave up. I couldn't remember her name. So I said to my brother, I said, this is the way I do it. I said, Harold, honey, please tell me her name. It's driving me crazy. Just tell me what her name is, please. In the name of God, hear my prayer. And I always bring God into it because when we die, our energy becomes one with God if we choose it. And so you have to choose God. So he was one with God, and I said to him, what is her name? Within seconds, the name just went right in my head, Jean Harlow. I went, thank you, that's it, Jean Harlow.
Wow.
But you can test that out yourself. You'll see, I'm not the only one. I didn't corner the market on this. We all have this within ourselves. And all you have to do is tell your father the next time he can't remember something or something, I don't care, maybe he's looking for something. Tell him to call his brother who passed away and say, I need this or I need to remember that. In the name of God, hear my prayer. And then tell him to just relax and watch what happens. And he will not be disappointed, I assure you.
I'm going to tell him he's going to love this so much because a lot of people will. I mean, psychics of your caliber are not inexpensive. It is expensive to have readings by you. So certain people, they can't even afford it. So if they could just get a little connection without, doing that, that's great. Thank you for letting us know how to do that.
Well, I tell you the truth, honey, I try very hard, and I do a lot of charity work too, but I will say to you, because I don't like to take advantage, and I really believe that it'll all come back to me. What you give, it comes back. It's absolutely the secret. And what I want to say is that I've written these books that I've written, and I've put so much into them of the things I would want people to learn and know so for themselves to use it themselves. Every one of us has this ability, dear. They call it a gut feeling. They call it a coincidence. Or my favorite one is, I don't know, something just told me. No, it was someone just told you. So understand that I have this ability. I have identified it. I have used it and really fine-tuned it. But everybody has this ability. Every single one of us. And if you allow yourself the freedom to embrace that you do, you will see the evidence unfold in front of you. It's just that simple.
That is so cool.
I had a friend call me today, and her husband died about 8 years ago, and his name was Jerry. Anyway, she called me today, and she was telling me that about 5 years after her husband died, she met a man, and they've had a wonderful relationship, but that doesn't stop her from loving her husband that passed away. She's just not lonely anymore. She has someone to go out to dinner with. They share a lot of his wife died. It's a long story. Anyway, her birthday was 2 days ago, and I texted her and said, happy birthday. So today she texted me and she said, I have to tell you this because I would have never known this if it had not been from you and teaching me the things you've told me. She said, Mike took me out to dinner, and while we were out to dinner for her birthday, she said there was something on the television in the restaurant, and on the screen came up a phone number, and underneath it said, Love Jerry. Now that was her husband's name. And she said, I really believe that was him, and it was my birthday. And I said, of course it was him, honey. And you have the right and you have the choice, if you choose, to say it was him. And I say to you, good for you, because you can be sure he's just happy you're not lonely anymore. And he will never stop loving you, and you will never stop loving him. And that is the way the other side is. It's unconditional love. So it's little things like that. Those are the little things, but people would just walk right by them and not notice them.
Do you think that I have, I'm sneaking this one little thing in, do you think I have lived another life with the person that I'm going to be living with with my love partner, whatever you want to call it. Your
I want to say to you,
another life?
Well, let me say this, my darling. First of all, absolutely, unequivocally, yes. Because, you see, I wholeheartedly know that reincarnation is true. And if you've read any of my books, I write about that, and that we come back in soul groups, we come back in groups. So absolutely, most of the time, we know all the folks that we have known before. They come and think about, all right, look at it this way. Think about all the people you have met in this lifetime alone. Some of them you've known for a long time. Some of them you met for 5 minutes. But you really had the number of how many people you've met in your lifetime up until today. It would be staggering. So please know that the possibility of when you are born again, you are knowing all right, not again. Let's talk about this lifetime. That the people you're knowing now, you've known before. There's many people. And that's why, okay, let me tell it to you another way. This will make it easier. Have you ever met somebody, which I know you have because we all have, you've met somebody and you just meet them and you're just immediately put off. You're immediately, I don't know what it is about that person. I just don't like them. Just keep them away from me. And, I don't want to be bothered. No, thank you. You don't know what it is. They didn't do anything to you. They didn't do anything to anybody you know. There's just something about them that makes you put up your hand with a stop sign and says, no, thank you. And then there's always other people you meet, and you don't know them either, but you say, oh, my God, I loved them. Or I loved her. I'd love to see them again. They were a wonderful person. I just love being in their company. And you can't put your finger on why you feel that way either, because it's all energy. It's all something you felt before. And that's the best way to show somebody that you have absolutely known somebody from another lifetime, because the recognition is in the core of your soul, in the energy, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent.
So much, both ways, good and bad. I've felt that throughout my life. That's so interesting.
But most people have, Barbara. Most people will admit that, and say, yes, that's happened to me. Because, and if somebody said it didn't happen to them, I kind of doubt them. Sorry. Because you got to know that somewhere in your life you've met somebody where immediately, one way or another, And then there's other people you don't have much feeling for at all. So I don't know what that might be. That might be a soul you have never met before in a past life.
And maybe they were they were acquaintances or strangers back then, and they still are today.
There you go. See, it's easy to figure out. You just let your mind do the thinking for you.
We just need to open our minds more.
Yes, ma'am. You are so right about that. And you know what, though, Barbara? People are doing that. 2019, people are doing that. Now, I think about this myself because I say, if this was 1798, I would already be dragged down to the center of town. So,
I know.
Let's face it. I'm glad it's 2019. However, there still are some narrow-minded people. And I don't mind narrow-minded people because I believe everyone has a right to believe what they feel comfortable and what they choose to believe. Everyone has the right to do what's good for them, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. So I always say to people, why would you want to take this away from me if you disagree with me? It gives me great joy. If you don't believe it, that's your choice. That's fine, and I'm not going to criticize you. Do what makes you feel good, but this makes me feel wonderful.
Yes, and maybe that is a good conversation, though, with those people, because they have a lot of questions for you, and who knows, you might change their mind. I mean, my mind was changed. I was pretty closed off to all of this stuff until I started to talk about it, and then they asked me to be the co-host. I was never wanted to talk to a psychic. I'm oh no, I'm a Christian. Only God, only Jesus. But I really was wrong.
Well, let me tell you what my husband says, because there's a lot of people out there that are, and I don't usually like to say this, but there are a lot of fanatics out there. We both know that. And my husband has said, listen, why is it that my wife can't talk to her dead relatives, but everybody can talk to Jesus, who's been dead for 2,000 years? I mean, I'm not saying, I don't want to criticize anybody. I'm simply going to say it gives me great joy. That's it. And I don't want anybody to take that away from me. Yeah, okay.
Simple.
I was going to say, I think we have a caller. Is it okay if we take a caller?
Sure, John, of course.
Okay. All right. Caller, you're on the air. Area code 206.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. This is Concetta.
I can hear you.
Oh, excellent. Hi. Is it Concetta? I didn't hear the pronunciation of your name.
Yes, darling. It's almost like if you were to say Loretta, only Concetta.
Okay. It's beautiful, and it's actually an honor and privilege to be talking to you, especially
no, honey.
week.
It's my honor to talk to you, darling. Don't ever feel that way. I'm thrilled that you would even want to call me.
So this week I've had two things that have rocked me, I think, more than anything in my life. And it was Monday and Tuesday. So Monday I went to a new building site where we're going to be working for a year. I teach, and while our school is being remodeled. And when I went to the building, I've worked for the school for over 20 years with the people not in that building. And this building shook me. There's something off, not right. And in this little playhouse of with preschool equipment, as I was walking around the corner, I thought there was a child in this little house and there were no adults around. And when I went closer and said, "Are you okay?" I realized it was a grown man stuffed down in there. And he felt it was off, it was weird. And then Tuesday, I had the most heartbreaking experience I've ever experienced in my life, and so I just wanted to see if you had any insight. I know that big events lead to big change, and so there's going to be an exciting shift in my life. I'm open to that, but I just wanted to see. I was kind of rocked by what felt like spirit stuff with this building. And I think that man existed. I mean, it felt very real. I went and reported it to the office, and then they went and checked, and then I went and looked again, and he was gone. But he wasn't all there. He seemed like a grown man with a child. But
oh my God! What was
the
building? Is it a building that has a lot of history? I mean, is it something
that was? It's an old school building, yes, and it's very eerie.
So it's been there for a long time, possibly maybe almost 100 years.
That's right.
Yep. And as you are telling it to me, I'm hearing it as though it was not only used as a school, it was also used for something else during all those years. That's
right.
how I'm hearing it. What, dear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And
correct.
what it was used for, yep, that's exactly what I'm hearing. And what other than the fact that it was used for teaching and school, it was used for something else. I'm hearing it almost like it might have been used for a hospital or something. But what I do know is that there were some mean things that were done to people who had nobody to protect them. So I am sure that you were on to something and you experienced something from a past that happened in this place in the past, and that you.
And I'm having a really nutty physical. I'm vibrating extremely hard right now, and my brain is pulsing right now as you're speaking.
All right, listen, baby
really
girl, I want you to feel better. So this is what we're going to do for you. First of all, you don't worry. You're not polluted by negative energy, and you're not going to have to carry this around. So just get that one off your plate. But what I want you to do is, it's very easy to get rid of whatever it was you encountered, and that is to build a wall between you and the negative energy you experienced. And the simplest way to do that is to say, in the name of God, I want all of your protection. In the name of God and all the high archangels, I ask you, please, in the name of God, pray for me, my well-being, my peace of mind. In the name of God, hear this prayer. It's so simple. Put it any way you like, in any way you feel comfortable saying it. But trust me, they will respond, and they will take this fear and energy away from you. And when you go there, if you have to go back there for work or whatever it was you were saying, always prepare yourself with a prayer before going back there, so that you have what is like a wall around you that nothing can penetrate it, because you've called God into it. It's that simple. But yes, I definitely can hear, even as you're saying to me, there was not nice things going on in that building, and it wasn't during the time it was a school. It was used for other purposes, and one of them, I believe, was for sick people of some kind. So they either used it for like a halfway house for people who were, I almost want to say TB or something, but I absolutely know this place was used for sick people, whether it was a full-blown hospital or not. That's for sure. And I want to ask you, what, dear?
Oh, after you said halfway house, you said TB. What is that?
Tuberculosis.
Thank you.
Tuberculosis, yep. Now, when you said something about Tuesday, though, what happened to you on Tuesday? What was it that was, frightening to you, or was it frightening? What happened on Tuesday?
It wasn't frightening. I lost the thing I've loved the most in my life died.
Oh, my love, darling. Was it an animal?
Yes.
Because immediately somebody's showing me a pet, darling. So I know immediately it was an animal. What I want to tell you, dear, is please remember this. It's so important. God creates all life on earth, including our four-legged furry friends, and they don't die. They also belong to God and go back to God. And you have already felt this. Is it a dog?
Yes.
Because at first I thought it was a cat because I'm trying to see it, but I realize it's bigger than that. So they show me the dog. I'm even hearing some of the name. It's a 2-syllable name that almost sounds like whoopee or something like that. So I know they're trying to tell me the name, and the name is 2-syllable. Can you tell me the name of the dog?
It's Side Pipe.
Yeah, there you go. So there's 2-syllable, and they're saying this to you like the dog is home with them. So there are many other animals that were owned by your family because you've come from a family loving folks. And there's many of them, and they're showing you this beautiful dog who even, I'm sorry that you had to lose this beautiful animal, but was suffering, and they're telling me that dog was suffering. So that tells you that the dog is well now, not suffering anymore, and still around you. You will feel and hear the tapping occasionally of the dog walking around you, because that's how close they are. They're in the air you breathe. And you're so sensitive to this that your subconscious mind is heightened, and you will be able to sense and hear the pitter-patter or the sound or feel the dog rub against you, because that's how close they are. The dog's not going to leave you any more than a person will. That's how great God is. God creates all life, and animals are gifts from God.
Before you took my phone call, I wrote down that I have been pulsing, and there's this clicking sound, almost like I'm in the ocean snorkeling when you can hear the fish nibbling or the coral. And you just said that. It's her nails clicking on the floor.
That's what I'm telling you. They're telling me that. They're telling me you will hear the dog and the walking on the pavement or the floor or whatever it is, and that you are hearing it. Now, what I want you to
wrote that down.
Oh, good, honey. I'm sorry for your loss, baby. But I want you to know, you're going to say, and eventually you're going to say, I don't hear him anymore. I don't hear her anymore. What you want to remember, it's because you're built, our human mind and body is built to survive, and you're built to move forward. And that's what you're going to have to try to do. But it'll take you time, darling. I'm not rushing you. I just want to let you know, though, that beloved dog is not dead, is in the light of God. And if you live to be 100 more years old, trust me, that dog will be waiting for you, too. So just let you know that. But
and I do believe in reincarnation. Do you feel like, I feel like she was a dog I had for a very short time, about 26 years ago, and I didn't realize this until the last week of her life that, oh my God, I do know you, and I was the one that was resistant to you coming back into my life because I didn't want to have heartbreak, and so I'm hoping she will be the one that comes back to us. Is there any tool
I will tell
I can
you
use
this, knowing what I know about God and knowing what I know about how sweet the other side is, I will honestly tell you that is possible, because it's all based on love and such tremendous unconditional love that I will say to you, yes, anything is possible. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. I'm sorry for your loss. Really, I am.
Thank you. Thank
One
you
more
so much.
thing I do want to ask you, though, because I hear somebody showing me this. you have apparently got, and you have them all like together because they're showing me, like they look like a bunch of toys or something, and little animal toys, and you have them all put together, and you're like keeping them in one little spot, and they're showing me to tell you that they know you have them and that you're looking at them because they were favorite objects of the dog. Are you still there, honey?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to think what that is. Yeah.
It looks like it's little things that the dog must have really enjoyed playing with or chewing on or whatever, but you have got them in one little spot, they're trying to say, that you are looking at that spot all the time. And I know it's so new, it's so fresh, so maybe this is, too soon to tell you this, but they are very much trying to reassure you. There's no question they're trying to reassure you that the dog is in the light.
And Jonathan can text you a photo. I tried to meditate to feel her passing when I thanked her and left her with the vet so that I didn't have to see another procedure happen to her.
Right.
And I went around the corner to a park and tried to meditate and felt nothing and was super discouraged. And right when I was about to start up the car and just give up and go home, I looked out my sunroof, and she is literally 3D image of her in the clouds, and I got a picture of it.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
See, that's beautiful.
Unbelievable.
That really is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's no question, everything you're seeing.
Photo?
What is it, Jonathan?
Was that
I know.
if I could text you a picture?
Don't worry, honey. Even if not, I believe you. I've heard this from folks. I know this is all possible. Everything you're saying, I totally believe. I know it's true, and I'm glad you know it's true. So rejoice in that, sweetheart. There are many people who took her home and that she's with that love her too.
Well, I found you on Audible, and I will definitely be purchasing your book. You'll be my next read, so thank you so much.
Thank you, baby. God bless you, sweetheart.
Okay.
Yeah. We were
All right,
all
does that
glad
answer
to
your
hear about
questions,
that because
Robin?
Robin's calling in a lot. Robin, we're also sorry to hear about that, but we're glad you have this comfort and we're able to talk to Concetta as well. So, because we know,
I know.
Robin. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well,
It's just so fortunate. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Did she answer your questions, Robin?
Absolutely. I don't want to take more time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Our next call is area code 425. 425, are you there?
I'm here. So, I had an epiphany today, and I was just wondering if so I know you're not a psychic, but I'm also wondering if ancestors could also help with that.
Wondering what, darling? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I had an epiphany today, but I'm also wondering if your ancestors can help with that.
Ancestors can help with what, dear?
With an epiphany that I had. With an epiphany that I had today.
What was the epiphany you had, dear, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, what it was is that I wasn't using my true potential and
Are you there, dear? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, so you're worried that, let me understand this, you're worried that you are not living up to your full potential, and you're wondering if past ancestors can help you to do that?
So I realized I haven't been myself, and I've been using my full potential, and can ancestors help with that?
Well, what I'm going to answer is yes, they can. And what I'm going to also say is that you need to call like hierarchy angels, ancestors from your family. Ask them to be involved and also ask them to guide you and help you. Yes, they certainly can help you, but it has to be something that you call from them to ask for help.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel confident that you can do that. I just want you to believe in yourself. So it's important that you believe in yourself and know that you do have the ability to do and be whatever it is you choose to be.
Because there was one time I actually did open myself up to Jesus Christ because I was in a bad place.
Uh-huh. Well, it's never too late to find faith, honey. And it's never too late to love who you are and to love God and be at peace. It's never too late to be at peace, darling. And I think you have, and you can call them for help, and we'll get that help if you want it.
Okay.
All right? I hope that helps you, sweetie. I wish you well. I wish you good fortune, dear.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Caller, area code 941. 941,
Hi.
are you there?
Yes. My name is Carla, and I got two things. One, are you a psychic, or because that guy just said you weren't a psychic?
Well,
yeah, she's a medium.
Medium. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He got me a little confused there, but
that's okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. Not you. But I was wondering. I'm looking to change offices, to rent out a new office.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a message if they see that coming quickly soon?
Well, to be honest, when I say this is what you want to remember. What I do is, I hear dead people. So
okay.
I would be better in knowing somebody who passed away. But as far as getting a new office situation, I'm going to say the same thing, and it sounds way too easy, but it's the real truth, and I use it myself. If you want something, if you need something, and you want to change something, ask your relatives that you've loved and lost from the other side to intervene and help you and to make this dream come true. And tell them, please, in the name of God, to hear this. Because you're bringing in the best energy you could possibly bring by asking them and the Spirit of God. So I would always be optimistic with that and say that your dreams will be fulfilled.
Okay. And another thing, you were talking to the first caller about her dog, but you first thought it was a cat. I had a surrender.
Actually, what I saw was when I saw an animal. When I first when I looked into this, it's like a subconscious view a viewpoint. I saw an animal and it looked very small, so I almost said, "I know you lost a cat." But then, as I was viewing this in my subconscious, I realized it was larger and it was a dog, and that's why I said to her, for a moment, I thought it was a cat. But then I realized, as I was viewing it, it was a dog. Yeah.
Oh, because I thought you were kind of like picking up on me because I just had to surrender my cat because it was dying and I couldn't pay the.
Oh, honey, I'm
sorry. They found somebody immediately to adopt and take financial responsibility.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know if
wonderful.
Survived
no,
or
that's.
Not. And you
know what,
described
though?
him as the T as Valentino of the two syllables.
Yeah.
And saying about the small little things he used to play with. That's what I keep on looking at, the pile that's underneath my coffee table.
Oh, honey,
and
you did the right thing.
Before you said that.
Yeah.
That's what I was
I
looking
wish
at.
I could say that was the case, but it's not because I was talking to her and I heard her energy. But just on a side note, I want to tell you, I really admire you that you realized that you were not able to take care of this beautiful little animal, so you gave it to surrender somebody who will be able to make sure it has a wonderful, happy life. So you should really feel good about yourself and proud about yourself. That you made the right choice. So I'm sure it was, honey. I'm sure it was.
Just the diagnostic test and that, and just to keep him alive. Not even the surgery was $3,000 up front.
Oh my God, I understand,
I could not do it.
I understand, sweetheart. Well,
yeah.
fortunately, the cat's going to get the help that it needs, and it's because you were kind enough and understanding enough to make that sacrifice, and I really admire you. You really, that was very courageous and wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you,
well,
honey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. God bless you, dear.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'm going to say, I have a question. And this sort of goes back into what she said, because we have a psychic that comes on a lot. She's actually been one of our friends. Her name is Karen Page. And the thing is, she's actually, it's funny, I don't know if I know that you are in the book, The Top 100 Psychics and Astrologers in America. Well, so is she. You're both in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is that she'll tell me, she goes, I'm not a medium, and you'll say, I'm not a psychic. But here's the thing.
I never say I'm not a psychic, honey. Oh, I never say that. I always say I'm a medium, because when you say you're a medium, it's just understood that you are also psychic. So I never say I'm not a psychic. I just simply say I'm a medium.
How could you be a medium without being psychic,
Yeah,
basically?
I say this to most folks. A psychic can tell you a prediction, but cannot identify the person who's giving them the prediction. A medium can give a prediction, but identify the person who is giving them the prediction. So that's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess.
But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you have a person that comes on the air, and she says she's a psychic, or she. Okay.
But she won't say she's a medium. But see, this is the thing that I don't understand, and this is the thing I don't understand. Karen Page can tell you if you're going to get a job, but she won't feel anything in a haunted house. And you will probably feel something on a haunted house, but you can't tell if somebody's going to get a job. I mean,
no, I didn't.
To me, that you.
Go ahead.
I
don't. Did somebody ask me if they were going to get a job? I didn't hear that. Did somebody say that tonight?
No. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I sort of was under the impression that you were a medium and that you never claimed to be a psychic.
Oh, I don't know where you got that. Okay, because let me clarify it. Yes, I am a medium, but a medium is a psychic. So that is how I would just, a lot of times if they want to introduce me, they say psychic medium. Okay, if that turns them on, that's fine. But technically, I'm a medium. But if we met, you'd probably think I was an extra large. So there you go.
Well, no, I do remember from the book you had a sense of humor. I mean, I remember your line about dead people don't scare me, but living people do. I remember that.
Oh boy, is that true?
I love that.
Now, I guess what I don't understand is why someone can be able to do one thing but not another thing. Like, I mean, that's something
I
I've never been
understand that
able
completely, because you know why, John? Because a psychic, I know people in my field, and there are those who are mediums, and there are those that are just psychics. And I've met psychics where they don't mind telling the prediction that they sense and that they hear, because they're clairsentients, but they're afraid of hearing dead folks. So they would just stick with just saying, here's the prediction, but I don't want to identify the person who's telling me.
I mean, they can do all that, but they can't. I mean, and I find it very hard to believe that Karen Page wouldn't be able to feel anything. Now, I have not asked my co-host Kelly yet. Kelly, do you have any questions? I'm sorry, we've been talking and you've been really quiet.
Oh, that's okay. I've been taking notes actually. I do have a question. Different people have told me different things about my baby that passed, and the other thing is the question I've got is, am I at the job that I should be at? Because there's a lot of roadblocks, and am I going to finally get healthy?
Wow, that's a whole lot of stuff right there. Well, sadly, when a baby passes away, I just want to start by saying that that child was probably highly evolved soul. Very sad, very tragic. I'm so sorry. But I do believe that a child that leaves young, that child comes to the side to make a difference in people's lives, to change people. And it's a highly evolved soul who went back to God. And I also think, in terms of your job, that there are changes, I do believe, that are coming up for you. But I don't think the timing is what you're thinking they're going to be. I think the timing is different than what you're hoping for. That's something I do believe is going to change, but it's going to be not the timing you're looking for. Now, as far as your health goes, you, even as I'm listening to that, you have what I feel is like a lot of, how do I say this, deficiencies, like B12 deficiency, D deficiencies. They're showing it like you really need to build up your energy, because it seems that they're saying you have fatigue, you have tired, you're very, it's hard for you to like, to get your energy moving and stay moving. So I would suggest that you would get some really great vitamins, or find out what the deficiencies are and address them. Because I don't feel that your health issues are so bad that they're life-threatening. That's what I want to respond to that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've had a lot of pain with an accident that I had, and I've been having to take, I really hate taking anything, but I've had to take Motrin, and then at night Motrin and a muscle relaxer, and I still can't sleep very well. So it's like, unending fatigue from that, and now it feels like it's gnawing a hole in my stomach. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that explains why I'm hearing you as so tired, because they're saying that you're very fatigued. But if it's from an accident, is there something they're telling you is herniated, or is there something that is has to be addressed in terms of your bones and alignment? Is that what?
Not
or do you?
That. It is possible that. I had GERD, and then it got okay, and then all of a sudden, it's not okay with the pain.
Is it your legs that bother you and your back?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just ask one thing: when you're driving in your car, you have a car or do you have an SUV?
I have a car right now.
Okay. So listen to me, darling. This is really important, because this is just what I've heard. Okay. I'm hearing the pain that goes in your lower back, down your leg. That's how I'm hearing it. And what you want to know is there's something you're doing wrong in your car. What it is and this is going to sound maybe a little funny, but it's what I'm hearing. Your butt is too low in your seat. You need to have a lift, like a pillow, sit on a pillow, so that your butt is higher than your knees when you're driving. That's causing a discomfort in your alignment in your body, because your butt's too low and your knees are high. You want to make them even. You want your butt to be level with your knees as you're driving. I knew you were going to say you were driving a car, because if you were driving an SUV, it wouldn't be as bad. But I asked you to just simply put a pillow on where your seat is, and raise that and drive like that, and tell me you don't see a difference.
Oh my gosh, that's like wow. I mean, it's like you were sitting there next to me. Like,
yeah, because that's what I'm hearing from them, honey. You're not ill, and you're tired. They told me you're not ill and you're tired. They're telling me to tell you to get, like I'm saying, I would load up on some B12. But not only that, when you said that, I said, where is her pain? I thought you had like rheumatoid arthritis or something like that. They said, no. Her butt is too low, and you're hurting. You're putting a muscle or something out of alignment by the way you're seating in your car when you're driving. That will make a significant difference.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That's amazing.
Well, try it, and I hope and pray from our lips to God's ears that you get the relief you deserve, honey. And I feel confident you will.
Oh, thank you. That'll be great. Thank you so much.
Good luck to you, Kelly. I wish you well, my dear.
Thank you.
Now,
I really appreciate it.
I have a question. I've heard we've actually been trying to organize a photo shoot, because the thing is that me, Kelly, and Barbara have not met in person, and we're trying to arrange that.
Oh, I think that's adorable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, thank you.
It's something that we want to do because we haven't. We're setting up a GoFundMe page, so. You know. I mean, do you see us meeting like?
Oh, without question. Without question. People who are doing work like this and work with the light always have their prayers answered. So you just keep making the effort that you're putting towards to make that happen, and I totally believe that will happen. Yes.
Wow.
Okay, because I've heard people say that the show is going to be known worldwide. That was what another psychic said.
Well, I think you're on your way. I think you're on your way. When you work with these kind of subject matters, people benefit from them, and they tell other people.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I know. One of the things I like about it is the community sense. I'm not putting down other shows, but I do feel like that we have a sort of a community that's growing.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure you do.
And
this is a very hot subject matter.
The first time I had Kelly on, it was hysterical. I mean, you know, she does one show, and then she's like, can I come back tomorrow? Well, I think we have the caller that we told you about earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and put him on. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm clicking. Okay, all right, sir, are you on the air? Are you on the air, sir?
Hello?
Hello, this is Concetta Bertoldi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so, all right, so I'm just going to say a few things, and you tell me what you recognize, okay? Because as I speak, obviously I know who you are. They told me before the show started. But I want you to know that I know nothing about you except that I'm hearing your father immediately. And the first thing he's doing is extremely exciting. You have to know he's so excited to talk to you because you were the love of his tremendous life. He loved you so very, very much. And he's telling me now, even now as we speak, different dates. So can you please tell me if you recognize why do I see a symbol of a birthday? Whose birthday's coming up?
Go
ahead, honey.
My dad's two wives, Esther and Arlene, both have birthdays coming up in August.
That's it. And I was going to say, it's not next week. It looks more like it. I thought it was July or August. He's saying this. He's with people, he's telling me to tell you, he's with so many people that you never met that love you very, very much. He also indicates he's with a father figure. So one of your grandfathers, I don't know if it's from your mom's side or your dad's side, but one of the grandfathers died much younger than the other one. Which one was that?
Well, my dad's father died when he was a boy.
Okay, because he's telling me he didn't know you. The grandfather was telling me he didn't know you here on Earth, but he wants you to know he's been protecting you and guiding you all of your life, and that they're also saying there's a lot of resemblance in your face that comes from your mother. Your father's telling me how beautiful you are, but he also indicates that he thinks you look like your mother. He's remembering when you were a little boy, and he's showing me what looks like you and him, and he looks to me like it's a bike, or he was teaching you to ride the bike. I'm not quite sure, but it's memories that he's trying to say were the favorite of his, that he loved being with you when you were this little boy. He's showing me you and teaching you how to ride and giving you safety tips. He worried about safety all the time and trying to protect you. And also
so
mentions,
true. Yeah.
yep, and he's saying that when he passed away, it was either it was a significant time, dear. So it was either around a holiday or around a birthday or around something very significant. Do you know what he means by that?
Well, he died on October 9th.
Now, October 9th, it doesn't sound like a special holiday to me, but it must have been significant in some way because he's saying it was a significant timing. So something had to be going on that it was significant.
Well, who I was married to at the time when he passed, my first wife and my dad never got along, and her birthday was October 8th, and he died October 9th.
Oh, my God, that's what it is. That's what it is, honey. He said you would know that it was around something. Yeah, and you know what he's making me smell? Coffee. He must have liked coffee.
He loved coffee, yeah.
Because I'm smelling coffee, and he said you would know that he loved coffee, and he puts the smell of coffee around you in the hopes that you would know he's around you. He's trying desperately to show you signs so that you would know it's him. Go ahead, dear.
Can I ask you something with regards to that? In particular, a sense. There are times for no apparent reason that I can smell my dad's cologne, and I've gone to the length of trying to find it, and I have found it. He didn't wear cologne like perfume cologne, like a fragrance. He wore an after bath or after shower splash called Jean Nate.
Oh my goodness, how do you like that?
I mean, you can't even find that anymore. And
no, I know how long ago that was out. But let me just assure you that he's putting fragrances in front of me because he said to tell you he puts fragrance in front of you. So once he showed me that he loved coffee and that was his drink of choice, but he also put fragrance in front of me and said that you knew it was him by fragrance he put in front of you.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't sure if he was trying to identify the coffee and the fragrance, that coffee he liked, but he just said to tell you that you would understand. So all I need to do is just give it to you and then let you figure out what he's trying to say. He's a very, very nice man. He has a beautiful heart. He is so grateful for his family and loves you like crazy love. And he's telling me that you are in perfect health. You have a long life, and he wants you to remember someday we'll see each other again. But more importantly, he's showing me you have little doodads that belong to him, that he knows you love and you treasure. And he's showing me you holding things in your hand. They look like they could be either little pieces of jewelry or it's possibly a watch, but I know he's telling me with all my love, and he's handing it to you because you have these things because they were his and you loved them.
I have the ring that he wore in life, and I have also a gold cross that I purchased in Greece a year before he passed, and I gave it to him in the hospital. And I have that on every day right now.
Yeah.
Well,
he does tell me you have these things. And I also saw a watch, honey. I don't know what the watch means, but I absolutely see that too. And he said to mention that.
Watch as well.
Oh, you do? See, that's what he showed me. Okay, perfect. Yeah, because he's saying he knows you treasure these things because they were his. And there's another thing he wants you to know. Thank you, he's saying, for letting me go. So apparently at the end of his life, he was very sick. And he shows himself horizontal to me, and it was very difficult for him to communicate. And he's saying that he was very grateful because he heard words from the folks he trusts the most, and they said to him, it's okay. And he's saying how grateful he is for that. And he also shows me flowers that were that were planted in his honor, and he's telling me he's honored, and he shows me flowers that were planted.
There was a tremendous outpouring of love from the people in his life, maybe 200 people at his memorial.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean it was quite the event, and it was a celebration of his life.
I was just going to say it was very well deserved because even as I hear him now, he is extremely bright, which tells me he was a very charitable man. He had great honesty and integrity and would help so many people. And he remembered people in his life that didn't have a lot, and he went back and gave so much. He gave so much away to try to help others that had less than him. Very, very good man he is. But says to tell you, be happy for me because I'm finally with my mother. He loved his mother, and he's finally with his mother.
Yes, he did. He did.
And
he also lost his mom at a very young age as a boy.
Yes, and he said, please tell my son I'm finally with my mother now, and just be happy for me. But he's still with you. He is absolutely always going to be with you. But he says you have a long life, and he wants you to be well. And he says someday we'll see each other again. He tells me he has grandchildren. How many grandchildren does he have?
He has 6 grandchildren.
How many, honey?
6.
Yeah, because he mentions them immediately to tell me that he loves the kids. He loves the children.
So I'm wondering if he's able to influence and guide them from where he is.
Oh, absolutely. He is the inner voice. He's an inner voice, my love. I'm curious to know, though, because I don't know why I would see this. Maybe you can tell me. Was there in the family somewhere twins? Was there anywhere who was twins?
No, there weren't any twins.
Okay, so I'm going to make a prediction for you that there is a forecast in the future, somewhere in this family, there will be twins. Born.
Oh, well, maybe, I have 5 daughters, so that could
Oh,
very
my
well
God,
happen.
you do? Oh, my God,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, he's forecasting it for me and telling me to tell you that. And saying it in such a beautiful way, as if to say, and you'll be here to enjoy it. So it's he's showing me a wonderful forecast. And another thing he mentioned, darling, he visits you in dreams. He comes to you in dreams. And he knows that you only remember little teeny tiny bits and pieces of it. But that's because it's not a dream, it's a visit, and you're seeing him when you're sleeping.
Oh. Well, I always feel him in his presence almost daily.
Well, that's because he's in the air you breathe. He's not far. He's not up in the clouds. He's right there next to you in the air, AIR. He's always in reach, and you can call him and ask him for whatever it is you need, and you'll be amazed at what you see. You'll be amazed at what you get because he can answer prayers. Your father was a very, very spiritual man who believed in God big time. Big time.
Yeah, he did.
And he's telling you that God is real, and he loves telling you that God is real.
Oh, wonderful. Well, isn't that lovely for all of us?
Isn't that lovely for all of you? You're so right, honey. It's the way I live my life, too.
Yeah.
But your father made the right choice. He chose God, so he was brought right away into the light of God.
And so he's not coming back. He's going to stay up there.
Yes, well, it's so. I love when people say, "Yeah," because I'll give you an example. I have a brother who passed away in 1991. Obviously, it's a very long time ago, and I always hear him, and I always say to him, and this is how I know, because I'll say, no matter how long I live, he assures me that God brings us all back together again, that we are always reunited with those we love. So keep in mind that time on the other side is not like time as we know it here. Time there is very, very different. And they assure me that the glory and the grace of God is that we are all brought back together again. You have to understand how great and how good God is. He would never deprive us of that. So, yes, your father will be there. Even if you live to be 150 years, he will be waiting for you.
Well, because God is love, and that's the strongest force in the universe, right?
Absolutely, honey. And another thing he said to show you is a bird. So apparently he's brought you a bird. Either, I don't know if it's a red cardinal or what it is he's showing, but he says, remember, I'll show you a beautiful bird. So I know he's going to do that.
It's a falcon.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because he directed several episodes of Falcon Crest, the show that I was starring in.
Oh.
And we had a falcon on the set frequently in that program.
Okay.
And he loved that bird.
Oh, he just said mention the bird to you. Isn't that adorable? See, it's little things like that that I love. I really didn't know what he was talking about. He just said to mention it to you. And when I do that and he says that, I know I just have to leave it with you because I'm not meant to understand it. But I'm glad you told me so that at least I know it makes sense to you because he said mention the bird. Wonderful.
That's
wonderful.
Fun. Yeah, that's lovely. Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome, darling.
Lovely.
I wish you good fortune, my dear. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny. It's funny when I hear, it's really weird. Let me ask you this. I don't want to ask you to mention names, but what's the funniest experience you've ever had during a reading?
Me? Oh, all right. I'm going to tell you one that just comes to my head right away. You guys know I'm from New Jersey, right? Okay.
Sounds
so
like
one day I had a reading that I was doing for two women, and it was a group party, so they were bringing a third person. Now, I didn't know who they were bringing, but the person they brought with them was a very highly connected guy in New Jersey, and I didn't know that. But when I opened up to listen to the reading, the stuff that was coming through was, well, entertaining to say the least. It was kind of funny. And, so that was probably for me, because I was not sure who he was, but I knew there was something about him that was, historically connected to New Jersey's reputations. And it was so funny because I went on to find out that it was a very important person. But for me, it was funny. I got a kick out of it because he had just been apparently released from jail, and the two women that were with him were two gumads, and they brought him to see me. So that was pretty funny.
Wow. So you're saying we should know who this person is?
Well, I knew who he was because through word of mouth, it came back to someone in my family that he had come here, and he went around telling all his wise guy friends. So it was pretty funny. Yeah, without going into too many details, I should say.
I mean, do you know who he's talking about, Barbara Kelly?
No, but that's okay.
That's all right. You get the general idea.
Yeah.
But I do want to say it was a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Thank you so much for coming.
I have one more question.
I'm sorry, would you?
Before you go.
Yeah, sure, John. What?
I've heard somewhere that this is really, really weird. That there was an old Twilight Zone episode, and there's actually two of them, where somebody has a telephone where they're able to talk to people who are deceased.
Oh, the little boy.
Now,
that was the little kid from Lost in Space. Remember? That's the little boy who played that part.
But I've actually heard that there's an actual psychic who has an actual telephone that will allow you to do that. Now, what's your opinion of that?
I think I've heard everything, but I never heard that. I really don't want to pass judgment on anybody who does anything because, as I've said before, if certain things bring somebody joy and it doesn't hurt anybody else, what can I say? But I've never heard of that, and I don't know the person that you're referring to, but I find it funny. Let's just put it that way. But if it turns on, all right, we're good. But the little boy in that episode,
you never know.
That was the little boy. I know it. I just remember that episode. It was so funny. He was talking to his grandmother.
He
was talking to his grandmother. He was Billy. His name was Billy. What was his name? Billy something. He was in Lost in Space. I actually remember the episode, and he was talking to his grandmother who passed away, and his grandmother was telling him to go out in the street and play in front of a car. I just remember that episode, and I think those kind of things stay with me. But because I hear the other side, I hear these dead folks, I think those kind of things stay with me because I'm always amazed how Hollywood presents this, if you will.
Right. I'm just letting you know. But actually, it makes you wonder what the cell phone bill for that would be. I mean, can you imagine suggesting a call? Okay, calling them up or calling up AT&T and say, listen, okay, here's the thing. I tried to call this person. This person's not alive.
That
but
is
I tried
pretty funny.
to call this person he was dead. Now, what would be the bill for that?
I'm sure it wouldn't be.
Code? There was no area code for the dead. There was area code.
Yeah, the area code is SOS. I really don't know. I don't know, honey.
Either SOS or SOL.
Right. Wow. Well, listen, you guys, you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for having me on. I had a great time, and I wish you all well.
Thank you.
And I'm checking out. We loved having you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you.
God bless you.
Okay. Ciao.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.